Hello viewers, welcome to Efficient Manufacturing's YouTube channel. My name is Sanjay, Jadhav, Joint Editor Efficient Manufacturing. Today we have come to Chitale Bandhu factory at Ranjey in Post Cartridge. Today we'll find out how automation plays an important role in the manufacturing process of the products here. We'll also talk with Indraneel Chitale, the partner at Chitale Bandhu, and find out how automation is playing an important role in the production process at the plant. Let's go in and find out more.
Namaste, my name is Indraneel Chitale and I am a 4th generation partner at Chitale Bandhu. Chitale Bandhu is part of the 85-year-old Chitale Group, which was started by my great grandfather, late Shri Bhaskar Ganesh Chitale, in the year 1939. So we started our operations in a small village in Sangli district called Bhilavdi, and that is where our dairy operations continue to exist today as well. It was only in the late 40s that my grandfather, late Rajabhau Chitale, and his elder brother, late Bhausaheb Chitale, decided that they could move the business to the city of Pune and actually start making it home, and that is where the milk distribution business started for us. It was much later that we got into the business of making products, which was mithai and namkeen, and that is how where there were multiple brothers working together, and the name became Chitale Bandhu. I think Chitale Bandhu has been lucky enough to witness 8 decades of action that this country has been able to see post independence, and that way we've been beneficiaries of the growth story that India has been. I think one of the crucial aspects of this has been that we have been able to grow our business pretty well with the way the country has grown, and that way one of the key contributing factors for it has been about adopting automation and technology at every crucial juncture. One of the first instances of adopting automation was back in the 70s, when we became the first company in the country to start packaging milk in pouches. And this milk packaging machine, which in that license Raj era took about 4 years to come, was something that actually turned the tides for us, because we were able to start packaging milk in a much faster rate than what would happen in glass bottles. And from then, as a family, we realized that adopting technology was very important part in terms of scaling up. That was also around the same time that we found our critical product, which was called Bakarwadi, and I believe we will be covering that in the video as well. So Bakarwadi is actually a Gujarati product, and that was something that we got to know in the late 70s, and it became an instant hit with the Pune audience at that time, and you would often witness the tag that Bakarwadi Sampli, or that means Bakarwadi got over. So one of the key reasons for that was because it was a very laborious process, and something that involved a lot of people and a lot of technically skilled people who would end up producing the output that we would end up selling every day. But this output would be equivalent to about 300 kgs a day, and that required more than 50 to 60 people to do that. So as a family, we decided that the next quantum step for the family would be about adopting automation in the namkeen and the mithai segment in the country, and we automated Bakarwadi from the year 1989 or 87 up to year 1994, when the first fully automatic Bakarwadi line was installed, where we were able to move the production from about 300 kgs a day to 300 kgs an hour, to which as of today we will be doing about 2000 kgs an hour. Along with that, we also realized that because Bakarwadi as a product could be supplied in higher volumes, the demand for other products also increased, and that way Pedha ended up becoming automated, Motichur Ladu ended up becoming automated, other ladus ended up becoming automated, then the burfis and the katlis, and eventually all the namkeens eventually went into automation. I think there were 2 critical aspects, I would say, which were crucial in terms of why automation was adopted. One was that as business grew, it was not restricted only towards selling fresh, but it was also towards selling it packaged and actually distributing it across different geographies. As of today, Chitale Bandhu operates in about 10 states, 2 union territories in this country, and we service a couple of lakh retailers. Along with that, we are able to operate about 90 retail stores in Maharashtra and Goa, and along with that, we are exporting the product to about 35 plus countries, where we've also started opening stores in US and in the Australian market. So with this need, it became crucial that the output of the product that we were manufacturing was consistent and something that the customers enjoyed irrespective of where it was being consumed. And to ensure that, building scale was crucial, and that is where automation played to be a crucial part. So that was one of the main reasons we could adopt. And secondly was the fact that traditionally the market that we operate on is about a 80,000 crore market industry in the country of India. But of that, maybe about 25 to 30% is what is organized retail. Everything else is mostly a single shop or a single store or a single city operator who's doing a lot of business there. And it's a largely unorganized market. So as the country changes, one of the critical aspects for scaling up would be in terms of how we are able to deliver this packaged product to customers across different channels, where anyone with a phone is actually an ideal customer. So amidst this, when this change is happening in the market scenario where the organized sector is increasing its market share and the unorganized sector is not able to consolidate that well, where we see the leverage of using automation is in terms of delivering quality assurance. So with food, expiry is a natural thing, and using preservatives is something that is not really inspiring for us. So in order to keep the natural food product available for the longest amount of time, it is very crucial that the hygiene and the technology are something that marry each other well, and we are actually able to scale up the automation in a manner where it's not just about building scale, but it's also about building the right quality assurance and the quality control measures into the system as well. So that is the reason why our customer, be it in America, be it in India, be it in Australia, or anywhere they are seated, will relish the same quality of the product irrespective of which one they are testing. And that is the reason that we as a family continue to keep investing into creating more technologies, more factories and more automation into all our products, where the scalability is not simply about building large volumes, but also about the design, where we are able to replicate the same factory designs all across the world, where all we need is a power and a gas connection to start. And that is how, as a philosophy, we've been able to scale up well, and I think that's why the reliance on automation is so crucial. So when it comes to the Indian mithai and namkeen industry, as I said, because the market was largely unorganized, more sale would happen fresh across the counter. And because of that, scale was never in demand, because it was not packaged, it was fresh, and that way getting out of stock was something that the retailers preferred rather than making the product available in different counters. So amidst this, there was no standardization in terms of the recipes, and when the recipes were not standardized, it was very difficult for the machines to produce the output consistently. So that way, I would say that getting machinery and equipment to manufacture your products is just one part of the story. The critical part about ensuring that the machines deliver the same output has got a lot to do with setting up the right systems in terms of procurement and actually building a great supply chain cycle where you are doing backward as well as forward integration into your chain. So we go to an obsessive length in terms of how to standardize that, where even the quality of green chili that we procure is always from the same breed. So that way, when set of variables that actually build a product, where in India spices and spice mixes are very critical component of how we build products, it becomes very important that all of these products are very heavily standardized, and that way the procurement mechanism for it is something where we have to sensitize the suppliers as well. So when all of these equations add up well, that is when the machine delivers the output to our desire, and when all of this is to our desire is when the customer actually relishes it. The second aspect of it is that while all of this technology and all of this automation is something that of course helps us serve volumes very well, at the end of the day the consumer does not look at food simply as an automated or a mass produced activity. It is about emotion, because food is something that connects to your heart, not always to your mind. And in that sense, we need to ensure that when all of these automation and all of these processes are being put into place, where we work with vendors across the world in terms of helping us build these solutions, we need to sensitize them that at the end of the day, anything that we are producing is something that needs to connect to the heart, and it needs to have a soul that is crucial and that has been part of the Indian culture for centuries. So to give you an example, when we were automating manufacturing of modaks, or when we were automating manufacturing of laddus, we had to sensitize the suppliers there. A laddu cannot be made into a bar simply because there is a lot of religious and significant emotional attachment to the product, because it is even often given as prasad. And same applies to a modak, where you can't change the shape of the modak because it is of such heavy significance, not just from an emotional and a dietary point of view, but also from a religious significant point of view. So that's why, how do we preserve the emotion and yet standardize the output is where the challenge for food manufacturers is, and that is where I think we've had to work extensively in terms of creating a symbiosis of both, so that the customer is happy irrespective of where they taste the product. Well, so we've recently created a separate division now inside the company, where the innovative food section is something that we are prioritizing. So Binge Bar has been a great success. Along with that, we've also had good success in certain other categories, which is like our sub brand, which is called M Square, which is Mindful and Mouthful, that focuses on healthier foods, which is say gluten free or no added sugar or lactose free. Or we are also seeing a great demand for our millet based products, which include breakfast ranges, or also our meals products in the export market, where we are making traditional Indian Maharashtrian meals as well. So be it katachi amti or birdachi usad or aluchi bhaji, which are very traditionally Maharashtrian recipes, we are able to make them last about a year without adding any preservatives, and these are all heat and eat products. So this division deserves its own attention, and which is why internally we've also structured that well. So when it comes to Binge Bar, I think the story behind it was that we were trying to figure out how to sell namkeens in a very competitive market in this country, and that way the largest sale of namkeen actually happened at a 5 rupee price point, where it became difficult for us to be competitive because of the quality of ingredients that we use. So we make our products in groundnut oil. It is much more expensive than the standard palm oil that is consumed in the namkeen industry. So creating a product competitive at 5 rupees was a very difficult proposition, and we decided that we probably don't need to do me too products, we need to push the envelope in terms of how that price point consumes products. And that is where Chiuda Bar as an idea came into the mind first, and that way Chiuda Bar eventually morphed into Namkeen Bars, and that Namkeen Bar eventually came to be known as Binge Bar. And where the new facility that we inaugurate at the end of this month, we will be installing a line which is going to manufacture 1000 Binge Bars per minute. So at that scale, we are looking at about 60,000 Binge Bars per hour. So that is the kind of scale we are seeing. We are seeing great demand not just in India but also in export markets, where many supermarkets now are catering to Indian consumers, and they want products which are Western in design but Indian in taste. And that is where I think we will keep innovating, we will keep figuring out, and we will also focus more onto the fact that consumption is now going to be much more individual and much more convenience driven. And that's why how do we keep the Indianness of the products but yet make a form factor which is about individual consumption, easy to use consumption, and something that actually adds value not just as the product but also in terms of nutrition and also in terms of convenience. So that is where the focus of Chitale Bandhu will be. So we are looking at about expanding our capacity by 3 times with the new factory being set up at the current speed, and at full occupancy, which will happen over the next 2 or 3 years, we will be able to go to about 5.5 to 6 times the current capacity in terms of volume availability that we have. So that is the kind of business that we want to build out, and what we are seeing is that we will have a higher share of export market in our sale as we go about increasing our volume occupancy, simply because we see that it is a less competitive market and there is value that is rewarded, and we will keep increasing horizontally in the Indian market, where the price point will be a crucial aspect rather than just the value creation. To give you an idea, I have seen some reports by large consulting companies where some of our competitors at a similar top line and a bottom line like ours are actually doing sale of a product category very different to ours, where 80 to 85% of their sale comes from 5 rupee packets. And as a brand, we've stayed away from 5 rupee packets because we don't really have products which can compete at that price point because of the ingredients that we use. So what we've seen is that while that market exists, and that market is something that takes offtake really seriously, it's something that we did not understand how to create value for our consumers. So while we've always been at the higher echelon of the marketplace, where our average selling price is about 100 rupees for a packet compared to 5 rupees that most of our competitors do, we've come to realize that in India, price sensitivity and impulse buying is still a very crucial aspect, and choti bhook, as we like to define it, is something that is very real. So how do we create value in that choti book category is where our focus is. I think that market is something that will stay. The more people are going to be on road or working in different time zones, the more there will be a demand for impulse buying of things and small packages. So in this, how can we create value is where we are focusing on, where can we replace frying to baked, or can we make baked more healthy, or can we ensure that whatever we fry is made in great quality oils, is all the additions that we are considering, where our impetus is about creating an occasion for the consumer in the smallest of the price point and actually making them enjoy what they eat. so that it does not become simply prohibitive, but it is about creating that emotion where they connect with the brand and not just end up consuming that product but consume all the range that we are able to make. I think when it comes to sustainability, there are two aspects that come into a food industry. One is of course in terms of the quality of the food itself. So food is something that directly affects our biosystem because it's consumed and goes inside the body. So that way, what are the quality of ingredients that get into it? What is the way the sourcing happens for it? Are the farm producers being produced ethically? What is the quality of abuse that happens because of pesticides, etc. is something that we try to monitor, and that way ensure that any product that comes with a Chitale packaging is something that adheres to the highest standards in terms of what is supposed to be a good product that we believe in, and not just about compliances from a legal perspective. So one is about that aspect where the entire supply chain, be it our as we call ourselves as a farm to fork organization, everybody from the farm to fork needs to create value and actually get benefit of the product. So that is one aspect of sustainability. The second aspect of it is about the supply chain and the packaging. So when it comes to distributing products, it is an expensive affair because all packets contain air, and that way transporting it against volume is always a inversely proportional mechanism. So how do we decentralize our manufacturing is where we've put in a lot of thought in terms of not just designing the equipment but also designing the plants where all we need to do is basically plug and play in some other location and actually create availability sooner. So that is something that is ensuring that our cost to market is much lesser and we actually do it in a leaner manner. Secondly is in terms of electrification, where we are trying to see where the last mile and the shorter distances or fixed routes are something where we have moved our vehicles to electric mechanism, because that is where we are able to cut down on the cost and also on the emissions. Third would be in terms of adoption of fuel for the boilers that our plants require. So anything that is cooked requires heat, and with heat it requires boilers. So how are these boilers actually being fired, where at one time they used to be wood fired, then eventually moved into diesel, and where they are now using sustainable fuel, where we are able to cut down our emissions quite drastically. And the last aspect of it would be in terms of operations, where we are not just designing our plants to be green, but we are also using a lot of green energy towards offsetting what we produce. So be it solar power, be it wind power, we are invested into it quite heavily, to a point where we are now relying even on open access for solar, so that we are able to reduce the cost of energy that is going towards making food. So that's why we are looking at it as an all-round activity, and where as a brand we are looking at being more inclusive towards the sensitive demands of our consumer. So I don't see sustainability and the overall aspect of being sensitive towards sustainable aspect simply as a internal goal, but it is also something where I believe our customers demand that. So that is why how do we actually create value doing this is where we are trying to figure out solutions, and it's fast becoming part of how we think as a culture. I am very glad to host all of you here today at our plant. I look forward to showing you around in the plant as well, and thank you for featuring me.